Amazon takes a big chunk out of what they pay. My feelings won't be hurt. I know bookkeeping is about the last thing anybody wants to think about, but it does deserve a little attention, a little time, because if you don't, it just gets worse.
Welcome to the Digital Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Kieran Conley, and today I'm excited to be joined by Matt. So Matt, over to you, and I'll let you introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Matt Remuzzi. I'm the founder of CapForge Bookkeeping and Tax. We've been doing it since 2012. I'm a longtime entrepreneur, done things before this, but we've really focused on the small business bookkeeping, tax, and then now we're adding advisory services and so on for our clients. Over 1,200 clients. We work with people in all 50 states in the U.S. and tons of people from overseas. And it's just been great. I love working with small business owners. They're my favorite people. So if we can help them out, I'm happy to do what we can.
That's incredible. And you must have seen a lot of changes then over the last years in the industry.
Yes. I mean, it's a constantly moving target. You know, tax laws change every year, and even bookkeeping with the advent of AI and just, as the world turns, things are constantly moving. We have a lot of clients in the ecommerce space. That's a platform that keeps changing all the time. So yeah, I know, the perception is right. Accounting is boring and whatever, but it doesn't. It's changing all the time. And I always say, yes, I mean, kind of some accounting is boring, right? But profits are sexy. And that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, now we're talking. I love it. And you've hit a few chords close to my heart now with e-commerce and AI. And as you say, the constant change, no matter what industry you're in at the moment, I think there's a lot of change. But maybe we focus on e-commerce to start with. So again, over the last couple of years, I've seen you do a lot with Amazon and e-com stores. So maybe share a little bit about that.
Yeah, we, just kind of out of the blue, we got a call years ago from somebody who said, "Hey, I sell on this platform. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Amazon. Could you help out with putting our numbers together?" It's something, we're just kind of all stumped. So I said, well, I haven't done it before, but let's give it a go. And it was complicated. It was more tricky than the average sort of Main Street, high street type business, but we figured it out. We did a good job. We're very happy. And he said, "Oh, by the way, I'm in a Facebook group. Would you mind if I shared your information?" I said, "Oh, no, of course not. I'd love that." Well, 1,000 clients later, that was a good move. But it has absolutely evolved over time. Amazon has made it great to be able to get in front of millions of paying customers, but at the same time, they keep raising their fees and the competition keeps getting fiercer and fiercer. And so you really have to be on top of your numbers, on top of your data to make sure that, you're not spinning your wheels for nothing there. You're putting all that work in and not making much out of it. So that's what we try to help our clients do. But it's been a good ride. It's been a lot of fun over the last decade.
Wow, it's incredible. And do you see a big difference between traditional e-commerce, if there's such a thing, where people are selling through their own websites, and maybe the marketplaces like Amazon and Etsy's and these other stores that other people would sell on?
It's really a trade-off, right? If you sell on Amazon, they have the customers, right? The first place people go, at least in the US, I know, some markets and some countries have different top tier. Amazon isn't the king of everywhere, but it's a place people go online immediately. I'm going to buy something online. They start there. So if you're trying to sell on your own website, your first challenge is to get somebody to even think of and find you, as opposed to just going to Amazon. Now, of course, the trade-off is Amazon takes a big chunk out of what they pay you. So there's a cost for doing business directly there with their customers. So we see clients try it both ways. Some clients where they've built a strong brand and a good following, they can make it on their own with their own stores. Other people just getting started or with more of a generic product, they're better off, taking advantage of Amazon's customers and just, making sure that their numbers work for them.
Incredible. Excellent. And I guess when we're talking about these platforms, there's been a lot of change. And have you seen, even your own business then, a lot of new digital tools being introduced? Are you starting to use new tools, or is it the steady systems for a number of years?
It's no, people are constantly writing software to connect various platforms and do those kinds of things. And, on the one hand, it's great because Amazon and Shopify and those guys, they all have APIs, which is software that allows you to connect to their data, pull things out, and use it, in various ways. So that can be very helpful. But, it's also challenging because they do it the way they do it and you take it or leave it. So there's can be sometimes pretty difficult to work with what they give you or try to manipulate it the way that it would be most useful to you. So we're frequently trying out new tools. A lot of them go on the garbage heap. They just don't help enough or work well enough. But we all, we do find some diamonds in the rough from time to time, and those make our job easier and allow us to be more efficient, and we can pass that benefit on to our clients.
Nice, nice. I like it. And when it comes to empowering entrepreneurs, then I guess from us, from the side of the table I'm sitting on, handing over accurate and timely bookkeeping information. Do you see that that's a challenge still, or maybe all your customers are great and everything's handed in good time and perfect condition?
I would wish. No, I mean, we try to let clients know from the beginning, right? It's still going to be a two-way street. Sometimes they'd like to think, well, I've hired these guys and now that's it. I don't have to do anything more. But the communication needs to continue. We are not mind readers. We can't do everything in a vacuum. We need to have the clients work with us. And to be honest, the value that we can add is when we have those discussions with the clients. Hey, we got your numbers together now. Let us show you what we found. Let us show you what this is telling you. And, some people are very up for that. Other people, not so much.
Yeah,
So
no,
it depends.
no, I totally hear you. And I guess that's where the real value is. It's not just doing the numbers, it's actually the bit that comes after that is what the numbers tell you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the numbers, I can make reports all day long, but if nobody looks at them or they look at them but don't really know what they say, that's no help at all. Really, the value is in looking at the data and being able to make strategic decisions about what are we going to do more of, what are we going to do less of, where can we save money, where are the opportunities, and then tracking that and keeping on top of it each month and saying, okay, our goal was, this much in ad spend or whatever. And did we hit it? Did we spend that much in ads? And did it drive the revenue that we were hoping, or was it underperforming or even better than we hoped? And, you keep making those database decisions. As entrepreneurs, I think the tendency for most of us is to run by the seat of our pants. My gut's telling me this is a good idea. And sometimes we're right, but when you're using your gut plus data, that's, I think, when you really get the best outcome. When you're just kind of hoping for the best, but not really looking at what's working and what's not, it's easy to get yourself in a hole.
Very good. No, I totally get that. You're in a very service-based, relationship-based business, but you also have a very strong online profile. You clearly understand how important online is. How do you find the balance between in person and online? You deal with customers all around the world and retaining high levels of customer service. I guess that's, again, back to the service industry. It's so important.
It absolutely is. I mean, we always say in our firm here, the customers, our clients can't tell really if we're good at accounting or terrible at accounting, right? They hired us to do it because they don't know how to do it. So at the end of the day, they really can't judge us by our accounting skills for the most part. What they can judge us by is how quickly did we get back to them? How friendly were we? How helpful were we? Did we speak plain English and not accountant to them, right? Because if I explain it to you as an accountant, you may be lost. But if I can break it down and make it, understandable and digestible for you, you're going to appreciate that because a lot of accountants don't. So we very much recognize that, of course, we don't want to be terrible accountants. We want to be good at our jobs and do that well. But we have to do more than that to stand out, to differentiate ourselves, to attract new clients. Our customer service has to be 5-star. And I think I have a benefit from that because, again, longtime entrepreneur, I've owned a lot of businesses. I've seen how important customer service is. And for years, I worked in the restaurant business where customer service is, day in and day out. That's the mantra. It's got to be great. So I came to accounting with that customer service mindset. A lot of accountants come to accounting from accounting. They have they have no customer service mindset, and all they're judging by is the other accountants they know, who are not always the most, personable of folks. So I think, I know it's important, and I know it's a differentiator that we have to focus on. And also in this industry, it's pretty easy to stand out with good customer service because so many of our competition don't.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm with you. The reviews and the feedback, it's so important, and always room for improvement. But yeah, if you're focused on it, then you're going the right path. That's for sure. When it comes to, and I know I definitely read something about this online now for sure, but you've probably seen a lot of different pricing models, fixed price, hourly. What in your industry you're seeing, and you're maybe fixed at the fixed price, if I read that right?
Yeah, from day one when I started, I said we want to be able to tell a customer upfront, this is what this is going to cost. If that works for you, if that seems like a good value and a reasonable price for what we're telling you that we can provide, then great. And if it doesn't, no problem. But, I being on the other side of it, having other businesses where I had to hire accountants and bookkeepers, and they'd tell me, well, it's this much an hour. And I said, well, how many hours? It's, oh, I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? How can you take a guess? Can you give me a ceiling, a cap of some kind? It's, I don't know. So I, being a customer of that, didn't like that. And I thought, if you're as experienced as you're saying, and you're, as well versed in this stuff as you're telling me, then why can't you give me, some kind of limit or some kind of better estimate than just so much per hour? So I knew I wanted to do it differently. And we definitely take that approach. Every single customer, no matter what the project is, we will tell them the exact amount upfront before they start. And then if we get it wrong, that means that's on us, right? If I thought it was going to take so much time and it took me 3 times longer, well, I should have done a better job screening it and estimating it. If I didn't, I'll own that, not them, and I'll know for next time. So yeah, a lot of people in the accounting industry, they still charge hourly. They rack up these huge bills, and then they invoice their customers and wonder why the customers aren't that anxious to pay them, and they're spending all this time chasing stuff around. I had somebody to come to me yesterday and said, my CPA is charging me $350 an hour to deal with these notices from the IRS. Can you help? To $350 an hour, the whole thing shouldn't, boy. So yes, I always try to look at it from what would I appreciate? If I was the customer, what would I appreciate? I would appreciate transparent pricing that is very clear, very upfront, no mystery. So if that's what I'd want, I'm sure other people do. Let's do it that way.
Nice. No, I love that, and very clear for the clients, as you say. So if a client comes in, then what does onboarding look like? How do you deal with that?
So we actually have a dedicated onboarding team, which again, a little unusual in the accounting industry. Most of the time when you become a client, it's the accountant that you work with first, but they're just gathering data and not the most personable, not the best follow-up. So we actually have dedicated folks who don't necessarily come from an accounting background at all, but they have great customer service, great personalities. They will walk clients through, this is exactly how to do what we need, how to make it easy for them, because a lot of times what we need requires some tech savvy. And again, the customer may not know how to go into their bank and download old statements or transactions or upload them into QuickBooks and things. So we'll walk them through right on a screen call, like it's a tech support call for your mom, make it very easy and straightforward. And at the end of it, we always hear, wow, that was so great. That was so painless. You guys helped me out so much. I wish my last person had done half of what you've done just in this first call. You made a great impression, which of course is the point, right? When you start working with somebody, that's the time to put your best foot forward and make sure that you brought them into the fold and they're happy from the beginning. So we really try to focus on that and make it a good experience all the way through.
Nice accent. And then just I'm wondering, communication, is it a lot of emails, phone calls? You mentioned jumping on screen share. How do you communicate then with clients ongoing?
It's a combination of those things. We also sometimes do text messages. Some clients tell us, my inbox is so full. If you want something or you want to tell me, send me a text, which, that's fine too. I want to communicate with you in the way that you would prefer, right? I don't want to send you emails if you don't look at emails. I don't want to bother you with phone calls if you prefer a text, or, if you want to jump on a call, then let's jump on a call. That's great too. So we try to, as part of our onboarding, what method of communication do you prefer? We will try to meet you there. We also put all of our stuff in a client portal. So if they ever need anything, even 2 a.m, Sunday, no problem. It's all there for you to be able to self-serve at your leisure. So you never have to worry that you can't get it, or, oh, I couldn't get a hold of them, or it's a weekend, a holiday or something. We try to really think about what would help the client the most, and then do that. Even if it costs us a little more, it takes a little more time. In the end, they're happier, then they refer us, then we get more customers. So it's sort of built into our marketing budget, if you will.
No, very good. And I see you've got an impressive software stack there, and I can see all the pieces come together nicely. We briefly talked about AI. Where do you see trends now going for your industry? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, accounting is always one of those fields they mention where the robots are coming for your jobs. And honestly, they can have a lot of it. There's the data entry, just sort of wrote, okay, this check and put it in here. And because it's a paper printout or something, we can't get it in digital. So yes, I mean, the robots can have a lot of the drudgery. As far as I'm concerned, I would rather spend my time helping our clients understand what the output means than just typing it all in to get the input side of it. So I'm not concerned that we're going to be out of work. I think it's just going to allow us to do more of the meaningful work, and, potentially at a lower rate, because we won't have to do that some person won't have to do that time consuming drudgery part of it. The software can take care of it. It's not there yet. I mean, it makes all kinds of terrible guesses you wouldn't even believe what some of what it thinks is doing. But I think it's getting there. It will get there. And that's only going to help us be able to spend more time doing more valuable work.
Oh, that's no brilliant. How do you keep up, or your company keep up with the trends of what's happening? We see there's a lot of moving parts around us at the moment with these AI tools. They're not there yet, as you say, thankfully, but it'll come someday. So how do you keep up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few podcasts I listen to that kind of follow the industry. There's a couple of conferences we go to. And then I've just developed over the years sort of a personal network of a half dozen other firm owners, similar in size to us, similar sort of goals and client types. And we'll just share notes and, oh, hey, I heard about this tool. Have you seen that yet? Have you tried this? And, oh, okay, great. Or, I tried it. Don't bother. You get rid of that one. That one's garbage. But we'll keep each other in the loop, because there are so many clients that we're not competitive with each other. The people we're really taking business from, if you will, is the old school guys that won't change, that won't use software, that still insist their clients bring in a stack of paper, and, they're just not kind of keeping up with the way the world's going. So those are the clients that come to us as we get bigger, and those guys eventually ride off into the sunset.
Incredible. No, sounds like you've got a great network going there, and a system for keeping up to date. If someone, a young entrepreneur, then was starting their business, would that be a good route to follow? Listen to a few podcasts, try and form a network, or have you any advice that you would give them around setting up and maybe even considering bookkeeping and their finances in a good way from day one?
Yeah, I mean, it is so much easier to do it right from the start. Even if you don't have a lot of activity, that's still a great time to get started. And if there's not much going on, at least for us, our fees are very low, because we want to be in sync with the size of the business that we're talking to. But if you let it run for a year and a half, things are growing, getting busy, doing a lot more transactions, and then you try to go back and clean up the last 18 months, boy, is that a mess. And that just sucks up so much time and energy, and it gets stressful for everyone. So if you're starting a business, give some thought to this. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but don't put it to the side and ignore it. I know nobody, my feelings won't be hurt. I know bookkeeping is about the last thing anybody wants to think about in business, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing it 20 years. It's everyone's least favorite subject, but it does deserve a little attention and a little time, because if you don't, it just gets worse. You can't avoid it. So putting it off just makes it even worse than it has to be.
And you yourself, then, it sounds like you've had a very successful and varied career over the years. is there any challenges that you've really, I think I'm thinking of some big ones that you've had to overcome, and even if it does link back into bookkeeping, just to be great to hear and see what you've faced.
Yeah, I mean, it's always easy to look at somebody who's doing well and say, oh, things are great, everything went well. But it's not, entrepreneurship is an up and down, running into brick walls, falling off cliffs. I mean, it's never a straight line. It's never just all easy. There's always, even to this day, there's headaches and disappointments and, setbacks. And I think the difference is entrepreneurs don't let that stop them, right? Persistence is our greatest. We're not the smartest necessarily or the best educated or the best connected, but we just don't quit. That's the thing that keeps us in, business, is just, okay, well, I'll just figure this out. I won't let it defeat me. I won't let it stop me. I'll just figure out a way to keep moving. That's my entrepreneurial path for 24 years. Plenty of setbacks and headaches. And, I always tell people, I think the hardest part of any business, big or small, is managing people, right? Whether it's relating to customers or managing employees, hiring and managing employees, the people is the hardest, right? If you're a plumber, let's say, or a web designer, right? You're a master of the HTML. You can come up with brilliant designs and color schemes and everything else, but dealing with that customer who keeps saying, well, I don't, do whatever you want. And then you show them the design, they go, I don't like it. But you didn't tell me what you wanted. Or working with that designer who, you try to get, okay, this is the requirement, this is the deadline, these are the tools to use, this is what I'm looking for. And you go back and check on them, they've done nothing that you asked. Dealing with people is the hardest part. You can learn the skills, you can learn the techniques, you can learn the marketing and the other things, but it's the people, and becoming a good manager of people, whether they're employees or they're their customers, being able to motivate them, communicate, understand each different person's kind of the way they're coming and the way they like to communicate and be communicated with, and meeting all those people where they're at. That's the hard part. If we all just had to work with robots, it would be easier. You just tell the robot what to do and that's what it does. But people are much more challenging than that. And I think that's the number one hardest thing that I've had to, and still work on to this day as a business owner, is just managing people well. And I've certainly gotten a lot better at it over the years. But, not a day goes by that you don't have something come up that you think, oh.
I know that story as well, for sure. And maybe you've seen the same. Things have changed a lot in our workforce in the last couple of years, remote working and everything else that's rolled in. You're finding that new challenges, even though you've got years and years of experience, and I'm thinking of the younger people coming in from college, are they different than maybe their predecessors?
Absolutely. I mean, they're, just since I was a kid, and I'm 51 now, but I mean, it just, a lot of the things we used to say and think and do as kids, that's all off the table now. It's just the way the world changed. So you talk about things differently, you recognize people differently. Things have changed. And with remote work, that's another challenge that, if somebody was in the office and you'd sit them down and have a conversation, hey, look, there's, you need to work on improving. And then they knew, and you knew the next day you were going to see them come in the office and you're going to keep an eye on them. And okay, well, I guess I better. But now it's remote, it's Zoom, right? As soon as they turn off the Zoom call, who knows what they're doing? And it just doesn't relate the same. So you have to adapt to, okay, well, how am I going to manage this person who might live 2,000 miles from me and be in a different time zone? And I can't see what they're up to all the time. And I can't have the same relationship that I would have with them if they were in my office. I could call them into my office and whatever. But that's the reality. The trade-off is I can now hire somebody from anywhere in the world. I can find the very best person I can find. They don't have to be within driving distance of my office. But the downside is I can't manage them the same as I would if I had an in-person relationship. So, it's the way the world is, and you got to just adapt or perish, I guess.
That's very true. And has digital marketing then facilitate the growth of the firm over the last couple of years?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, most of people find us now, if it's not through a word of mouth referral, it's somewhere online between, a podcast or YouTube or a Facebook group or what have you. People who never, in a million years would have found us previously, right? Up until very recently, you would have looked in your local town for a local provider, and that, you might have only found two or three of them, and those would have been your choices. But now people are recognizing that they don't, just like I don't have to look for local employees, they don't have to look for local service providers. And for example, if you run an e-commerce business, there's a good chance in your town, there's nobody that's got a lot of experience or any experience doing accounting for e-commerce. But you can go online and find us and see how much experience we have and decide, with our fixed pricing and our experience and our customer service, hey, those guys could be a great fit for me. And, that's only because of digital marketing and putting ourselves out there. That wouldn't be possible any other way, right? I can't afford to put billboards all over the country, for people to drive by them. Digital marketing is it.
Oh, brilliant. And would you find that your clients are financially literate and be comfortable with digital accountancy tools, or do you have to go through a process of educating them in general as well?
I would say pretty much everybody, at least my age and younger, is fine with it. This is just the way the world works. They do online banking. They pay their credit card online. They use Venmo and things like that. This is just the way the world is. As folks get older and they're less used to it and more new to the idea of this, I think we have a little more of a hurdle to overcome to convince them that, even though they don't know us and can't drive to the office, that we're still safe and secure, and it's okay for them to work with us and give us, because obviously we're dealing with super sensitive information. We're asked, this is their money. This is how much money do you make questions that we now have access to, which is not something most people feel, very comfortable sharing with strangers. But for the most part, we can get over that hurdle and people understand that, we're just as interested in keeping their data safe as they are. Believe me, I never want to call to hear that somebody's, data got accessed and somehow we're on the list of people that had it.
Yeah, of course, no, and very important data security and just general security online is so important today. Matt, thank you very much for your time today. So, if anyone's listening to our podcast and would like to connect or find out more, where should they go, or what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I mean, really the best way to find out more about us is on our website, capforge.com. It's got information about us, our services, our pricing. You can, find those blogs and podcasts and things that we've done. And if you find something on there that piques your interest, you want to have a, further conversation, see what we can do for you. It has contact forms, our phone number, email, everything else. So capforge.com is the best place to find out more. And if you'd like to have a conversation with me, even if it's not about accounting, just about business or anything else, happy to have a chat with anybody who would like to reach out.
Brilliant, Matt. Thank you again for your time. We'll have links to your socials on your website underneath this video as well. So thank you again.
Perfect. Thank you.